lakini bado anaona ni kama unafanya mzaha, Bwana Spika.
I said as we continue, the sergeant at arms and the whips are working on it to make sure that those who are can leave. If there are no comments, well, Senator Ledama. Okay.
Mr. Speaker, sir, I thank you. The issue of lands and records is an issue that has been, Mr. Speaker, sir, can you protect me from...
Order, members. The sergeant at arms are working on. Okay, proceed.
Mr. Speaker, sir, I thank you for this uninterrupted time. The issue of COVID-19 has really disrupted a lot of things. And I'm sure that the Ministry of Lands, which all lawyers are complaining on a daily basis that has closed shop, is also grappling, just like the judiciary is grappling with the issue of opening the offices.
Let's consult in low tones. Senator Kangata.
Aye.
Order, Senator Kangata.
Mr. Speaker, sir, I think maybe to make it easier, maybe the Senate should consider renting Bomas of Kenya so that all the senators can be able to sit. Because this issue of who is sitting where, we can just measure 1 meter and you allow senators to sit and prosecute their matters. We are here dealing with an issue of a petition that the lands office has been closed and nobody is listening. So, Mr. Speaker, sir, as we prosecute this issue of lands records, I think I would like to ask the committee that you direct to extend it further to all the other government departments. Because I don't believe it's only the lands office. Maybe it's the lands office because of the money which is involved in the transactions. But I think even here in this Senate, we're having problems where we can't even measure 1 meter, and it is becoming problematic. So because of COVID-19, I think this issue of land should be taken carefully, maybe consult the ministry as well, so that we can be seen to be doing the work. We are not able to do our work here, so the committee should expand it further. And finally, the Senate should consider renting Bomas of Kenya so that we can continue working for Kenyans. Thank you.
Kangata, then Senator Cheriot.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, let me speak on behalf of those people who do various work in the lands registry, including myself. It is true the issues that have been raised in that petition are very crucial. There are so many problems in the lands registries in terms of lost files. Mr. Speaker, I would urge that committee to see how that ministry can learn lessons from the judiciary. They will leverage and ensure that matters are proceeding in court. But lawyers who do what we call conveyancing practice are really suffering. You go to the land registry, you file a file has been lost, you cannot be able to convey a document or perfect a document technologically, and therefore, on behalf of those lawyers who are in that area of conveyancing, issues raised there are very important. Thank you.
Senator Cheriot.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, this is a very important petition that has been brought before this House. Mr. Speaker, the issue of lands registry and how we as a country continue to manage it 56 years since we gained independence is something that as a House we finally need to put our foot down and demand that Kenyans deserve better. Mr. Speaker, every successive government that I have watched since I became an adult or even gained consciousness comes to office promising to digitize our lands registry. I remember, Mr. Speaker, even including members of this House who have served as cabinet ministers in the Ministry of Land. If you watch their speeches, the number one point that they always speak about, and it is for such a time as this that we are facing the challenge of COVID, or previously due to issues of fraud, Mr. Speaker, that we have always felt that it will be better to run our lands registry on a digital platform. Unfortunately, Mr. Speaker, as is the case and so typical of us as a country, it ends with promises. There's funds are provided for the same to be done, but nothing ever seems to happen, Mr. Speaker. I want to ask my colleagues who serve in the lands committee, because I'm sure that will end up, Mr. Speaker, to first of all before even giving a final word or authority on how this issue needs to be prosecuted, Mr. Speaker, to tell us how much each successive government has spent in trying to digitize our lands record and why we have not been successful. If there are people that are found to have pilfered on these funds, Mr. Speaker, the report that they bring to this House should include the names of those people so that we can surcharge them and for once and for all, we sort out this issue of lands in our country. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Chila Yako, then Kajwang.
Thank you,
Lil
Mr.
Turi.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the issues relating to land are very serious. In fact, land is the basis of freedom and is the cause of violent conflicts the world over. Nobody can claim to enjoy any kind of freedom without exercising that freedom while standing on a parcel of land that is allowed to stand on. You cannot speak if you are called a trespasser because you will be rounded up and thrown out of that place. You cannot move on a land that does not belong to you. So when, under the guise of COVID, the land registry is closed, I'm sure that is affecting the freedom of many Kenyans, that is affecting the freedom of many people. And even land is also a means of production. We need it to generate resources, to generate food, to generate so many things. So by closing the registry of it, I do not think the public officials who are earning salaries and their work is supposed to ensure that the registry's work are doing Kenyans justice and are also helping mitigate or ameliorate some of the problems that we have as Kenyans. So, Mr. Speaker, I want to plead with the committee that will be dealing with this matter to decide and to base their decision on the fact that land matters are sensitive without being resolved. As we close the registries, as we stop dealing with them, conflicts continue and our people still suffer the vagaries of poverty because they cannot produce on parcels of land that do not belong to them. So this matter is urgent, and the committee that it will be referred to should treat it as a very urgent matter. There are many families that are waiting for title deeds. There are many development activities that are stopped. In my county of Migori, the entire Nyatike, there are no title deeds. In Kuria East, in Kuria West, title deeds are not being processed. And even some of us who have titles and need to dispose of them in order to get some little money for urgent matters cannot move because land registries are closed. Including myself, Mr. Speaker, there are land activities that I need to engage in that I cannot engage in because the registries are closed. So the legal profession, financiers are all stuck because some people are afraid and do not want to devise ways of working under COVID. And COVID is not about to stop. In fact, it's spiking. So this thing must be brought to an end, and land registries and land activities be treated as matters of concern that need to be attended to quickly. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Kajwang.
Mr. Speaker, the petitioner in this case is not an idler. It's the CEO of KEPSA. That's Madam Karuga. And that's someone we have interacted with a lot. Mr. Speaker, annually you organize a speakers roundtable with the private sector. By the time the private sector decides to bring a petition to this House, it affirms the confidence that they have in this House. And I do hope, Mr. Speaker, in our conduct of business today and into the future, we shall conduct ourselves in a manner that also lends credence to that perception that is out there. The gist of this petition is that we're implementing a lands information management system, and yet guiding regulations were annulled by the National Assembly. Mr. Speaker, that is an illegality, and that is impunity of the highest order. If government officials would continue to implement a project that is dependent on regulations, yet those regulations have been annulled by a House of Parliament. Mr. Speaker, we have automated everything in this country: births, deaths, money, vehicles. Why is it so difficult to automate land registries in a manner that is consistent with the law? I therefore wish to request, Mr. Speaker, and you perhaps need to give us guidance going forward. Where you have regulations or statutory instruments that touch on specific areas of expertise, specific domains. For example, in the order paper, Mr. Speaker, there are regulations, the crops regulations relating to tea and sugar. Is it enough for the delegated legislation committee to sit and scrutinize those regulations? Or would you, in future, that where the regulations are so specialized, that they do some joint sittings? Mr. Speaker, I think it would be very important if the delegated legislation committee of the Senate was to look at these regulations, if they are to be committed back to the Senate, that they sit with the Lands Committee. If we are looking at crops regulations, then the delegated legislation would find a way of sitting with the Agriculture Committee so that the subject matter experts and specialists can also inject some thinking. But otherwise, Mr. Speaker, there is no other definition of impunity rather than a government implementing a lands information system and yet Parliament has annulled the regulations.
Senator Lenturi, I thought you wanted to contribute.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise to support this petition and say, Mr. Speaker, it has taken time and Kenyans have really gotten to understand how painful it is not to have a functional land registry, how costly it is not to have, to business, not to have the opportunity to change or create securities for those that want to do business, especially at this period of COVID-19 when money is so urgently required for ease of doing business. Mr. Speaker, as the committee is looking at this, probably I want to ask those other Kenyans that are listening and those people that are in authority to understand that it is not easy to get or realize the gains of operating these land registries without also further going into considering the kind of backlog of cases that relate to land that are pending in various courts in this country for lack of judges, Mr. Speaker. The money that is held that would have been released to the economy as a stimulus out of the dispensation, quick dispensation of land cases that pend because of lack of judges in the Environment and Land Court as well. So any model, Mr. Speaker, that really means well for this country and has an opportunity to play any role to ensure that the economy moves the right way, let him or her do a part. So I urge the committee to quickly get into this matter and make a report and see how we can facilitate those people that are frequent users of land registries to continue or to ensure that they're in business. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Mazayo, what's your point of order, Senator Susan?
My point of order, Mr. Speaker, is still on having members in the chamber who are sitting in non-designated areas. The last time this happened on May 22nd, Mr. Speaker, you had us leave the chamber. So I'm wondering, since we have been informed that the sergeants have given you the names of those sitting in such areas, why nothing is happening? Or should we just expect rules don't apply to everyone?
Can I comment?
As I finish, Mr. Speaker, on our side, I know there is Senator Farhi. I am not aware of the other side, but I'm talking at least about what I can see on this side. Thank you.
Yeah, can I just comment? Yeah, just to say that you are saying on your side just Senator Faria, but also when you enforce some of those rules, you're essentially saying my brother, Senator from Embu, who is a respected senator, to get out of my seat. For me, I respect him. I don't mind him staying there. Surely, why would you push Honorable Senator from Embu out of my seat? Me, he can stay there. I think we need to be magnanimous. Me, I'm seated here, and I'm humble with this seat, but it's unfair, my sister from Nakuru, to push a senator from Embu out of my seat. Thank you.
You know, honorable senators, you know, we are dealing with very serious health issues. And, Senator, let's respect each other. Please. I'm saying we are dealing with health issues, and it's our responsibility to make sure that we observe the rules that have been given to us. I was just restraining myself from, you know, some of these problems have been created by some of us who are sitting here. But since you have pushed me, let me now say what happened. Senator Olekina, you removed a sticker from a seat. This is a report I have from the Sergeant at Arms. Senator Farhia, you are sitting in the wrong place. Senator Mazayo, Senator Haniri, and I've said Senator Olekina. The whip has been moving up and down. So those.
Point of information.
So I think let us then observe the rules like we have said, so that we make progress.
Point of information.
Yes, what's your point of information?
Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker, under Standing Order number 1, and also under the Standing Order number 249 that Murkomen read, you gave very clear rules that the senators that should be prioritized to be in the chambers are leadership. So that would, because the business of this house is introduced by leadership. We have Whip Kangata, we expect business from him. We have Whip Faria, we expect business from her. If all of them were thrown out, how would business be transacted? Mr. Speaker, I think you should also visit that rule and also enforce it, otherwise there would be no business here.
Yeah, I know Senator Farhia will be moving a motion, so she has requested to stay, and that's the one that I have granted. Senator Khaniri will be making a statement. So I think those. Let's make progress. So the rest of the people that have said, let them move out to the other chamber. Okay, let's, where are we? Senator Linturi, you had talked. Okay, Senator Cherargei and Mazayo.
Mr. Speaker, I wanted to contribute on the issue of petition of lands. I think where I come from, we have been having those problems. I want to support that petition and hope. Let us, as my colleague senators have said, let us ensure we are given inventory of what the Ministry of Lands have done to make sure there is a digitalization of land records. Because anywhere in this country, Mr. Speaker, land is very emotive, and there have been many claims that land registry has become an conduit of many land frauds in this country. And even it has led to deaths, it has led to family breakups, it has led to many issues even because of inefficiency and effectiveness of our land registry. So I support, and coming from a person of the CEO of Kenya Private Sector Lands, is a very critical, and I remember the most affected areas indicated by that petition has always been Nairobi and central Kenya. And I think it has come to a time that the Ministry of Lands must come out with a proper way of handling issues of land, especially in our counties, because land has become a problem. If it is not between the government and the people, it is between families. If it is not between the families, even, Mr. Speaker, you are aware, along Nandi-Kakamega border, we have been having recurrence of land clashes. It is because of the issue of land. It is because of non-address of these challenges that we are facing with land. So I hope, Mr. Speaker, the land committee must go beyond what has been raised by the petition to look even. I know there is a bill that was proposed by the Senate called County Boundaries Bill. We need to talk to the National Assembly to fast track, because some of the challenges we are facing with border issues involving land can be sorted out by legislative proposals that is before the Parliament. Mr. Speaker, I support this petition, and I hope the Committee of Land will do justice and ensure that it gives direction to this country and to the counties at large. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Finally, Senator Mazayo.
Asante, Bwana Spika. Bwana Spika, la kwanza ni kwamba naunga mkono hii petition, na kuna masuala fulani ambayo lazima yaulizwe. Bwana Spika, tumeona kwamba hii wizara ya ardhi ni wizara ambayo imezembea kazi yake. Kwa mara nyingine tena imechipuka. Haswa tukijua kwamba uchumi wa nchi yetu ya Kenya unategemea zaidi sana ardhi ama mashamba. Sasa biashara zote ambazo zinatakana kufanywa kuhusikana na mambo ya ardhi, Bwana Spika, hata kuuza nyumba, watu wa kuuza manyumba, watu wa kuuza mashamba, watu wa kununua manyumba, watu wa kununua mashamba, watu wa kufanya kazi zozote ambazo zinatokana na ardhi zimelala. Bwana Spika, hali ya uchumi na pesa kuzunguka katika uchumi wengiliwa mahali katika ardhi, katika ofisi ya ardhi. Bwana Spika, utaona ya kwamba pia vile vile wanaofanya katika, mimi nikiwa mmoja wa wale mawakili ambao wanafanya kazi, hususan kazi ambazo zinahusikana na ofisi ya ardhi, wanaitwa conveyancing lawyers. Mara nyingi utaona ya kwamba ofisi zao sasa zimefungwa na biashara pia zinalala. Ni kwa sababu ofisi ya ardhi haifanyi kazi, na kazi zote sasa zimelala kwa maofisi ya wale mawakili na wale wanauza na wale wanaonunua, na wengine wako na shida zaidi, wanataka kwenda kusafiri kwenda kupata madawa nje, na hali imekuwa hali ngumu. Sasa tunasema ya kwamba kutakuwa na umuhimu wa kwamba tukiweza kwenda katika njia ya mtandao ya hii mambo ya kutengeneza ardhi, itakuwa bora zaidi, lakini pia tuzingatie ufunguliwaji wa hizi ofisi ili uchumi wa nchi uweze kuendelea. Asante Bwana Spika.
Honorable Senators, pursuant to Standing Order 2321, the petition should be committed to the relevant committee, standing committee for its consideration. In this case, I direct that the petition be committed to Standing Committee on Lands, Environment and Natural Resources. In terms of Standing Order 232, the committee is required in not more than 60 calendar days from the time of reading the prayer to respond to the petitioner by way of a report addressed to the petitioner and laid to the table of the Senate. I thank you. Next order.
Order number 5, papers.
Yeah, Senator Deputy Speaker.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I beg to lay the following paper on the table of the Senate today, Tuesday, 16th June 2020. The third report of the Procedure and Rules Committee on amendments of the Senate standing orders to facilitate virtual sittings of the Senate and its committees.
Majority Leader.
Sorry, Mr. Speaker.
More comment. Order.
Substantive
Order.
The temporary.
You are not the majority leader.
Leader of majority or majority leader?
Mr. Speaker, you know, I got a little bit.
I have not given you permission. Order.
Mr. Speaker.
Order, Senator Murkomed. Continue, Senator.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Sir, I beg to lay the following papers on the table of the Senate today, Tuesday, 16 June 2020. Number 1, the Crops Tea Industry Regulation 2020 Legal Notice number 97 of 2020. Number 2, the Crops Sugar General Regulation 2020 Legal Notice number 99 of 2020. I thank you.
Chairman Lands. Chair Jailag.
Mr. Speaker, sir, I am begged to lay the following paper on the table of the Senate today, Tuesday, 16th June 2020. Report of the Standing Committee on Justice, Legal Affairs, and Human Rights on the approval of Honorable Rachel Ameso Amolo for appointment as a non-member of Parliament Commissioner to the Parliamentary Service Commission. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Chair Ad hoc Committee, COVID.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, sir, I beg to lay the following paper on the table of the Senate today, Tuesday, 16th June 2020, the 7th progress report of the Ad hoc Committee on COVID-19
What's your point of order, Senator?
situation in Kenya.
Senator.
Mr. Speaker,
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
is it in order for Senator Sakaja, Mr. Speaker, to move, and you know, Mr. Speaker, I'm the one who moved the motion to establish that committee, to table, Mr. Speaker, a paper on COVID, while Mr. Speaker sitting on the wrong seat, violating all the regulations and all the rules, Mr. Speaker? Is it in order?
Proceed, Senator Sakaja.
Mr. Speaker, the immediate former leader of majority not realize the fact that, Mr. Speaker, I have a lot of business and I've requested special permission because I have this paper, I have a notice of motion, I have a motion, I have a statement. Right now, the most important and current issue this Senate is dealing with is COVID, Mr. Speaker. So would you kindly inform him that I made a special request and you've allowed me, Mr. Speaker. And also, by chairing the committee, I understand the actual protocols of 1.5 meters. And there's no one 1.5 meters close to me. In fact, if you stretch your hands, I'm 6 foot tall. If I stretch my hands like this, there's no one within earshot, within my vicinity. So, Mr. Speaker, allow me to keep pushing the agenda that this House gave me the mandate to do, Mr. Speaker.
Mr. Speaker, I'm ready, Mr. Speaker,
Order,
on a
Senator
point of
Murkomen.
order.
Order, Senator Murkomen. You have been here for long. You know the rules. You cannot be talking and at the same time seeking my attention. I must give you permission, leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
It pays just to have some respect.
On a point of order, then.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the authority of the office of the Speaker has been challenged most of this afternoon. And Mr. Speaker, that's not good for the rules of the House. The Senator of Muranga is sitting next to the Senator of Siaya. The Senator of, Mr. Speaker, Senator Matsayo, you've told him to get out, he has not gone. You've said something about Senator of, Mr. Speaker, Narok. You've said about nominated Senator, Mr. Speaker, from Nairobi, Faria. If, Mr. Speaker, this will be the trend, Senator Sakaja has walked, sat in between two senators, and there are two senators in front of him. It's not about me. It's about the authority of the Speaker and this House. If these rules of COVID are mere guidelines, Mr. Speaker, then we should not have frog-marched Senator Susan Kiika, the majority whip, and Mr. Speaker, and Rinturi. And they were frog-marched in our eyes, Mr. Speaker. So if the authority of this House has to be upheld, you must remain consistent, Mr. Speaker, because then otherwise, even people who are watching us out there, they just see that we are behaving in a manner that does not even respect the rules of COVID that we raised. And so, Senator Sakaja, you don't have to be condescending on me. I have seen all those things you are trying to parade. The thing is, I'm raising the issue about COVID and the rules of this House.
That's exactly what I was saying, Senator Murkomen, that you are one of those who are not observing the rules. You are on your feet talking, and yet you want to seek my attention. That is not to say, I'm disregarding what you have said. I still maintain that except for Farihia, who is going to move a motion in a short while, the rest, the Sergeant at Arms should be able to get them to the extended chamber. And Khaniri, the two.
Mr. Speaker, if Senator Murkomen is talking about your authority, and it's the same authority with which I have requested because of the kind of business that I am pushing this afternoon, what authority is he questioning, Mr. Speaker? And Mr. Speaker, despite that, there's no protocol that is being not observed over here. There's 1.5 meters. I have this paper, I have two statements, and I have a notice of motion and a motion, Mr. Speaker.
Chairman Lance.
Mr. Speaker, sir, I beg to lay the following paper on the Mr. Speaker, sir, I beg to lay the following paper on the table of 16th June 2020. A report of the Standing Committee on Land, Environment and Natural Resources on the Wildlife Conservation and Management Amendment Bill, Senate Bill number 24 of 2019. The report is with the clerk. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Next order.
Order number 6, notices of motion.
Okay. Madam Diaz.
Mr. Speaker, I beg to move the following motion, the following notice of motion, that pursuant to Standing Orders 252 and 255, the Senate approves the third report of the Procedure and Rules Committee on amendments of the Senate Standing Orders to facilitate virtual sittings of the Senate and its committees laid on the table of the Senate today, Tuesday, 16th June 2020, and pursuant to the provisions of the Article 124(1) of the Constitution and Standing Orders 255 and 257, 1, resolves to amend its standing orders as contained in Appendix 1 of the report, and 2, orders that the amendments of the standing orders as contained in Appendix 1 of the report shall come into effect upon approval. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Leader of Majority.
Speaker, I beg to give notice of the following motion. Establishment of a select committee to investigate the proposed removal from office by impeachment of the governor of Kirinyaga County. That whereas pursuant to Article 181 of the Constitution, Section 33 of the County Governments Act 2012 and Standing Order 58 of the Kirinyaga County Assembly Standing Orders on the 9th June 2020, the County Assembly of Kirinyaga approved a motion to remove from office by impeachment the Honorable Anne Mumbi Waiguru, the Governor of Kirinyaga County. And further, REF CAK SPK SEN 1001 dated 9th June 2020 and received in the office of the Speaker of the Senate on Wednesday, the 10th of June 2020, the Speaker of the County Assembly of Kirinyaga informed the Speaker of the Senate of the approval of the motion by the County Assembly and further forwarded to the Speaker of the Senate documents in evidence of the proceedings of the Assembly. And whereas pursuant to Section 33(3)(b) of the County Government Act 2012, Understanding Order 75(1)(b) of the Senate may, by resolution, appoint a special committee comprising 11 of its members to investigate the matter or investigate the matter in plenary. Now, therefore, pursuant to Section 33(3)(b) of the County Governments Act 2012 and Standing Order 751(b)(1), the Senate resolves to establish a special committee comprising 1, Senator Abshiro Halake MP, 2, Senator Dr. Michael Mbito MP, 3, Senator Mwangi Paul Gidiomi MP, Senator Beth Mugo EGH MP, 5, Senator Anwar Aloy Tip MP, 6, Senator Philip Mpayei MP, 7, Senator Cleophas Malala MP, 8, Senator Beatrice Kwamboka MP, 9, Senator Stuart Mazayo MP, 10, Senator Judith Pareno MP, and 11, Senator Moses Kajwang MP, to investigate the proposed removal from office of by impeachment of the Governor of Kirinyaga County, and to report to the Senate within 10 days pursuant to Standing Order 752 of its appointment, on whether it finds the particulars of the allegations to have been substantiated. Thank you, Speaker.
Chairman J-Lag.
Chair, you can better mention the name because up
It's a
to now
notice
we
of-
are confused.
it's a notice
because
of
we don't
motion.
know who the chair of NJLAC is. Yeah, this is why we seek guidance, Mr. Speaker. We have in a very unprecedented times in this country, including this house. So when you mention you want me to speak, say Linturi, because I don't know whether I'm vice chairman, I'm chairman, or whoever I am. And my boss is here, Cheragay, as far as I'm concerned, who has not dealing directed me or assigned any duties to me, because as all vice chair or deputies must be assigned business by their bosses.
Yes, this is Senator Cherargei.
Mr. Speaker, as far as I know, I was informed that I was de-whipped, so I'm no longer the chair of JLAC. I've not received any further communication from the State House appointee Majority Whip, Senator Kangata.
Point of information.
Senator Linturi, you already tabled as a vice chair, so you carry it to the end. Okay, yes. Okay, proceed. As a vice. It's a notice of motion. Okay, approach the chair.
Mr. Speaker, I wish to give notice of the following motion. That the Senate adopts the report of the Standing Committee on Justice, Legal Affairs, and Human Rights on the approval of Honorable Rachel Amesho for appointment as a non-member of the Parliament Commissioner to the Parliamentary Service Commission, laid on the table of the Senate on Tuesday, 16 June 2020, pursuant to Standing Order 71, and that pursuant to Article 127 2D of the Constitution and Section 9(2) of the Parliamentary Service Act, approves the appointment of Honorable Rachel Amesho as a member of the Parliamentary Service Commission. Thank you.
Next order. Majority Leader.
Point of order, Mr. Speaker.
What's your point of order?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I have a notice of motion that has been approved because I've tabled the report. So kindly can I give notice?
It's next, huh? Yeah. Majority Leader, then you'll have yours.
Oh, sorry, Mr. Speaker, I thought you said next order.
Majority Leader.
Speaker, I beg to give notice of the following motion. That notwithstanding the Senate resolutions made on 27th February 2020, approval of Senate calendar, 17th March 2020, 14th April 2020, and 2nd June 2020, alteration of the Senate calendar. The Senate, pursuant to Standing Order 29.4 and 31.3b, resolves to hold its sittings on Tuesday, 23rd June 2020 morning, starting from 10 a.m. and ending at 12:30 p.m., and afternoon, and thereafter proceed on recess and resume sittings on Tuesday, 7th July 2020. Thank you, Speaker.
Chairman COVID.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I beg to give the following notice of motion that the House does adopt the 7th progress report of the ad hoc committee on COVID-19 situation in Kenya. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Okay, next order.
Order number 7, statements.
Senator Haniri.
Of order. Point of order, Mr. Speaker.
Are you already standing?
Yeah, allow me.
Okay.
Yeah, Mr. Speaker, when you look at the order paper, you'll see there are too many statements. If you were to go all through them, I think we'll be doing, I don't know, I think we need to take into account some members who came just for this motion. In particular, some members who specifically told us as whips, we take them into account, their interests, including curfew, including some have health issues. I ask you kindly, you rearrange the order paper. We give the motion on the issue of the impeachment of Governor for Kirinyaga priority. Thank you.
I'm going to use my discretion on the statements. What's your point of order, Senator?
Speaker, before you use your discretion to give direction, is it true that members of this House who are obligated to be in this House anyway have only come for the motion of impeachment? We have a duty as senators to be in this House. And subject to availability of sitting space, we are obligated to be here. So it cannot be true, Mr. Speaker, that there are members who have just come here for the motion of impeachment. And if they are, let them stand up and be counted, and we know who they are. No.
Yeah, allow me to respond to that, Mr. Speaker. And
Okay,
Mr. Speaker,
okay.
The honorable senators who are with us here, they do a lot of work both in the House and also outside in the House. There are those who go to lobby the
Point of
ministry.
order.
Yeah, it is true.
Point of order.
There are those who go
Point
to
of
lobby for their constituency in the ministry. That is work of a senator.
Point of order.
There are those who want to go to prepare bills. That is their work, surely, Mr. Speaker.
Order,
Need to take into account.
Order. We have to make progress, and I have said I'm going to use my discretion on that matter. So let it rest there. I'll give direction, Senator Haniri.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My statement is on the death of John Amutabi Mwanga Nzenze. Mr. Speaker, you recall I was to make this statement last week, but we didn't get an opportunity to do it since we had a lot of business. Mr. Speaker, John Amutabi Nzenze was buried on Saturday, and I was hoping that I would do this before his burial. Nevertheless, I'll proceed. First, I would like to pass my condolences to the family and friends of the late Nzenze on the death of their patriarch, husband, father, and grandfather. Indeed, the country has lost one of the greatest pioneers of twist music. However, the death of Nzenze is actually a celebration of a life well lived. His moves, tunes, and sounds will live on with us, even though the COVID-19 pandemic has changed the way we provide a decent send-off to our departed loved ones. We still have an opportunity to reflect, learn, and praise the departed. Mr. Speaker, to understand the greatness of Nzenze, one needs to reflect on twist music. Twist music is one of the earliest inventions of indigenous music styles introduced in the country even before independence by the Kenyan natives. There are numerous pioneer artists of twist music who have since passed away. They include Mzee Daudi Kabaka, Gabriel Omolo, Habel Kifoto, and now Mzee John Nzenze. They belted timeless songs like Msichana wa Elimu, Lunchtime, Christina, Angelica, among others, that had the themes of love, life, nationalism, patriotism, and development. Mr. Speaker, those of us who grew in the 70s and 80s and 60s would understand this. I'll excuse Senator Cheruiyot and Senator Cherargei, because this may sound like Greek to them. Mr. Speaker, for those who are lucky to have the old gramophone, the nostalgic memories can never fade away. A great population born in the 50s and 60s and 70s can understand the memories I am talking about. Mr. Speaker, the death of Mzenzenze, though painful, should serve as a reminder of the urgency we have as a country to take time and reflect on the status and handling of our history and heritage. That includes the great music compositions and artists. There are a number of issues about performing arts and artists that require urgent action to right the wrongs. One is the issue of royalty, protection of intellectual property. All artists are now media and government support to musicians. Most of the musicians in our country are living in poverty in their sunset years, and even in death, they are not assured a decent send-off. Mr. Speaker, it is unfortunate that the Music Copyright Society of Kenya has failed to live up to its purpose of collecting royalties for and fairly handing over the same to artists. The mismanagement and corruption of music MCSK is not only illegal, but also immoral. While this is a simple case of mismanagement and the government has the mechanism to correct, the concerned ministry is doing nothing. Surely, if the Music Copyright Society of Kenya, an organization established by musicians for musicians, is the source of their misery, what hope do artists have in this country? Mr. Speaker, the Cabinet Secretary of Sports, Culture, and Heritage should institute measures to preserve our heritage in the form of music and develop policies that will ensure men and women who flew our national flag high internationally are appreciated. The ministry should sponsor and head the production of documentaries and establish art galleries of these citizens, while appreciating the efforts by the Senate in the legislation of the County Hall of Fame Bill, that is the Senate Bill number 39 of 2018, it must be recognized that some of the heroes and heroines of our country deserve national recognition and support today. Today, amateur documentaries on YouTube, or even the Wako Wapi series on KTN and other TV stations depict former musicians in abject poverty. Such depiction of misfortune should serve to remind us of the urgency to fast-track such important legislations. While it might not be possible to legislate on how artists spend or invest their money, it is possible to ensure that they get their fair share of royalties and provided with social protection in old age. Mzenzenze deserves a befitting tribute, like many from his generation. He sang timeless songs that are very relevant even today. He sang in perfect Swahili that had African listenership. From his days with the late Daudi Kabaka, they sang Msichana wa Elimu, Tushauri Moyo, and later on independently, he sang Angelica, Bibi Agneta, Susanna, Zipporah, Bachelor, and many others. Mr. Speaker, Bachelor Boy, yes. It is so unfortunate that Kenyans will mourn a country music legend and not even spend a minute to pass condolence message to a fallen legend of twist music. Nobody will celebrate our heroes for us. As much as the government has for a very long time failed musicians in terms of providing them with special social protection, Mzenzenze should not be neglected today. There will never be another opportunity to pay him another last respect. He deserves befitting send-off. Mzenzenze was laid to rest on Saturday, 13th June, at his home in Vihiga County, Hamisi Sub-County, Kaptech. May his soul rest in peace. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Okay, Senator Ledama is not in the House. Honorable Senators, because of I'm rearranging the order paper so that we go to order number 15. Clerk.
Order number 15, motion, establishment of a select committee to investigate the proposed removal from office by impeachment of the governor of Kirinyaga County.
Senator Faria.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Motion, establishment of select committee to investigate the proposed removal from office by impeachment of the governor of Kirinyaga County. Whereas pursuant to Standing Order 181 of the Constitution, Section 33 of the County Government Act 2012, and Standing Order 58 of the County Assembly of Kirinyaga approved a motion to remove from office by County Assembly of Kirinyaga approved a motion.
Senator Faria, you need to move the motion. Okay. Move the motion. I beg to move.
Okay. Okay. Mr. Speaker, I beg to move the motion.
The following.
Mr. Speaker, I beg to move the following motion.
What's your point of order, Senator Murkomen?
So, Speaker, I know it is, we have only 2 years to the end of our term, but maybe, Mr. Speaker, after COVID, you need to organize a small seminar for members of parliaments to appreciate the standing order, Mr. Speaker.
Proceed, Senator Faria.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. I beg to move the following motion. That the establishment of... Okay. I beg to move the motion that whereas pursuant to Standing Order 181 of the Constitution, Section 30... Okay, it's distracting me. The County Government Act 2012 and Standing Order 58 of the Kirinyaga County Assembly, standing orders.
Let's consult in low tones.
Yeah, point of order.
Senators, let's consult in low tones. What's your point of order, Senator Murkomen?
Mr. Speaker, have you seen Senator Gideon Moi, Mr. Speaker? He's holding a mini rally in the corner. But more importantly, Mr. Speaker, I know you gave guidelines about COVID-19. But, Mr. Speaker, are the gloves he's wearing part of the protection, and is it? Because I've not seen any other senator having such kind of gloves, Mr. Speaker, and maybe you should give further direction on how we should dress in future.
Order, Senator Murkomen. The protective gear are different types. You can decide to wear a mask. You can, if a Gunia can also assist you, you can wear if it's recommended. Senator Faria, proceed.
Kirinyaga County Assembly Standing Orders on 9th June 2020, the County Assembly of Kirinyaga approved a motion to remove from office by impeachment Honorable Anne Mumbi Waiguru, the Governor of Kirinyaga County. And further, whereas as by letter of reference CAK SPK /1001 dated 9th June 2020 and received in the office of the Speaker of the Senate on Wednesday 10th June 2020, the Speaker of the County Assembly of Kirinyaga informed the Speaker of the Senate of approval of motion by the County Assembly and further forwarded to the Speaker of the Senate documents in evidence of the proceeding of the Assembly. Whereas pursuant to Section 33, subsection 3B of the County Government Act 2012 and the Standing Order 75-1, subsection B of the Senate may by resolution appoint a special committee comprising of 11 members to investigate the matter in plenary. And now, therefore, pursuant to Section 33(3), subsection B of the County Government Act 2012, and Standing Order 75(1), subsection B1, the Senate resolves to establish a special committee comprising of 1. Senator Abshiro Halake, MP; 2. Senator Dr. Michael Mbito, MP; 3. Senator Mwangi Paul Gidiomi, MP; 4. Senator Beth Mogo, EGH, MP; 5. Senator Anwar Loitiptip, MP; 6. Senator Philip Mbaye, MP; 7. Senator Cleophas Malala, MP; 8. Senator Beatrice Kwamboka, MP; 9. Senator Stuart Madzayo, MP; 10. Senator Judith Pareno, MP; and 11. Senator Moses Kajwang, MP. To investigate the proposed removal from office by impeachment of the governor of Kirinyaga County and to report to the Senate within 10 days, pursuant to Standing Order 75, subsection 2 of its appointment, on whether it finds the particulars of the allegation to have been substantiated. Mr. Speaker, on several occasions, select committees have been used to conduct impeachment. And I think on 2 occasions, we have also used plenary to conduct the same. Mr. Speaker, I had an opportunity to attend both. If we remove emotions and other, people taking sides, and in terms of other issues, I think because I had an advantage of being in the Sambocha Impeachment Committee, Mr. Speaker, I found that to be much more detailed, much more probing, much more investigative nature, Mr. Speaker. And Mr. Speaker, because also the House Senate Business Committee had decided on the same, Mr. Speaker, for me, from the experience on both plenary and committee and through a select committee, I found that the probing was much more thorough when it was done through committee, Mr. Speaker. And Mr. Speaker, therefore I beg to move and ask Senator Cleophas Malala to second.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I don't know why I'm causing a lot of excitement from the other side. Mr. Speaker,
the excitement is that you may be defending your position because you are a member of the committee, on a light note.
Yes. Mr. Speaker, I beg to second this very important motion. First, because the mode in which has been proposed in this motion on how we are going to transact the impeachment motion has been provided for in our standing orders, and that is Standing Order number 75(1)B, which clearly says that the Senate may, by resolution, appoint a special committee comprising 11 of its members to investigate the matter, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, second, I second this motion because I am a member of the Senate Business Committee. Mr. Speaker, the Senate Business Committee has been very consistent in the manner in which it proposes on how such motions are transacted in this House. Many a times, the Senate Business Committee has been proposing the committee way, Mr. Speaker, which I am alive of the fact that is a matter that has to be adopted on the floor of this House. And therefore, as a member of the Senate Business Committee, that was our position. We proposed that we are going to bring forth a motion proposing membership of a committee which is going to transact this motion, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, it has been the tradition of this House that the business of this House
will be transacted by committees. Committees will transact the business of this House or the plenary, Mr. Speaker. That is why we have 16 committees transacting various businesses of this House, Mr. Speaker. And therefore, we are within the normal traditions of this House, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the big question is, why committee? One, because last time we transacted the Waititu impeachment through plenary, Mr. Speaker, I was not satisfied in the manner in which we interrogated that matter on the floor of the House. One, Mr. Speaker, the evidence adduced before this House was not deeply interrogated. We did not have enough time to peruse through the evidence, to peruse through the submission, Mr. Speaker. And therefore, we turned this House into a political gathering that was just meant to make a decision. But the committee way will have an opportunity, Mr. Speaker, to look thoroughly into the submissions of both parties, Mr. Speaker, make determinations, do research, and come up with a resolution that we shall bring to this House for adoption, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I have seen in both print and broadcast media pressure from the Kirinyaga residents.
Point of order, Mr. Speaker.
What's your point of order, Senator?
I don't think it is in order for Senator Malala to refer to this particular House as a political gathering when we are actually deliberating on matters to do with the benefit of the country. So I think, yeah, it's not in order.
Senator Malala, you want to respond?
Mr. Speaker, I think Senator Lagat has already made up his decision on this matter, and therefore he's not concentrating. He's just waiting to vote. I would urge Senator Langat to concentrate on what I'm saying, because I did not term this House as a political gathering. I was trying to juxtapose the benefits,
Mr. Speaker.
The benefits of us.
Well, I think he has because the other time he was also, he was the chair and he refused even to take over during that time. So talking about juxtapositioning is not in order. He should withdraw. Calling this particular very honorable House a political gathering when it comes to actually deliberating on matters which are very serious, which are very important, is not in order, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Chararge.
My point of order, Mr. Speaker, is on the issue of using the word political gathering. I wish you would have said it is a Senate decision that was made like. I can assist him in a trail of thought so that he maintains the focus that he has decided to stay on. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Point of order, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, Senator Kibiru.
Mr. Speaker, is it in order for the Speaker, the Senator who is speaking, to keep on referring to the issue of Waititu, whereas in essence he has become a professional committee member, because even in that committee he was actually a chairman of that committee, and when it was brought in here, he declined and voted against it, Mr. Speaker. So is he in order to keep on referring to that issue?
Okay. What is your point of order, Senator Murkomen?
Mr. Speaker, Senator Malala is my very good friend, and his thought was flowing. But Mr. Speaker, I don't know if it is in order for me to deduce from what he was saying that, Mr. Speaker, Senator Malala was trying to confess his past sins, and he was trying to ask for apology for the House. Because as you very well know, Mr. Speaker, Senator Malala, being a member of Senate Business Committee, sat with me, passed, Mr. Speaker, a resolution to establish a committee to investigate the matter of Waititu, and Mr. Speaker, with no explanation. And Mr. Speaker, I know the explanation too, but that explanation is for our memoirs. Mr. Speaker, he comes to the floor of the House. He had been proposed to be the chair of the committee, walks to the floor of the House, Mr. Speaker, and votes completely against the decision he made. Mr. Speaker, how do we know that if Senator Malala seconding this motion, will not, Mr. Speaker, second and then vote against it after the deliberation?
Senator Linturi, what's your point of order?
Mr. Speaker, as we approach the future, we need to be very serious as a House, because this House is a House of record. Mr. Speaker, and it is disorderly conduct when a member takes a certain position and runs away from the same position that has been taken without any reasonable cause. Mr. Speaker, the Constitution also requires us not to participate in matters that we may have interest in. Mr. Speaker, the second of this motion, in my view, would have been pricked by his conscience to understand that since he's a member that will be is a member of this committee, the best thing he would have done was to keep quiet or refer to second this committee, this motion, for him to see the reaction of the other members. So what we expect him is to defend his opposition now, a position which he declined to support last time when we had the motion that was brought before this House. So, Mr. Speaker, is it in order for Senator Malala to second this motion first, when he has interest as a member of that committee? Secondly, the position that he is advancing today is a position last time he opposed, because that time he thought the committee was not necessary, as did not serve his interest at that particular time, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Ledama.
Because sir, a wise man said, only a fool does not change his mind.
Where are your mask, Senator?
Yes, Mr. Speaker.
It just came out.
No.
Okay. My head is too big, but it's okay. Let me repeat this again, Mr. Speaker, sir. Mr. Speaker, sir, a wise man said, only a fool does not change his mind. I've listened to Senator Linturi trying to point out how Senator Malala is out of order, yet we are not discussing the substance of the matter. I think he can either propose or support or oppose when we are discussing the motion. Currently, he is only seconding the motion. So Mr. Speaker, sir, can you please allow the distinguished senator from Kakamega to finish seconding his motion? When the motion has been properly moved, we can then now either support or oppose it and give those reasons that the distinguished senator from Meru is giving.
Okay,
Thank
Senator,
you, Mr. Speaker,
Senator Nyamunga, and then Senator Uchila Yako.
Mr. Speaker, to the best of my knowledge, I think this is the work of the House Business Committee. They are the ones who decide on the names of members to be floated in this House for the committee. So it is not a member who decides. He can't be an interested member, and he cannot choose himself to be here. And the list is not yet approved. So once the list is approved, that is when somebody can be said that they have some special interest.
Okay, honorable senators, we need to make progress. Senator Malala, I just want to caution you to be careful. Your generosity with English words may land you in a problem. Try to be careful and guard what you say. Proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. That was expected, and we take it as it is. Mr. Speaker, we've seen the former leader of majority bringing here names to adopt in committees, and members who have been in those committees have contributed to that motion. Therefore, it is not any unique, Mr. Speaker, that I am a member of that committee and I am seconding. And by seconding, I'm trying to ask this House to support this motion so that we can go the committee way, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I have read in both print and broadcast media the citizens of Kirinyaga County and the leadership of Kirinyaga County, the senator, the woman representative, the members of parliament, Mr. Speaker, giving their position and their suggestion on how they would want this matter to be transacted in this House. Mr. Speaker, in as much as we respect the position of the people of Kirinyaga, I want to assure them that their sovereign power was exercised by the members of the County Assembly of Kirinyaga, and that their aspirations were encapsulated in the motion tabled at the County Assembly. And therefore, when this matter comes to this...
For the last 10 minutes, people have been rising on points of order, some of it which is not grounded on any plead with you out of this House. all the impeachment motions that have come, either to establish a committee or in the debate, people have tended to address the core issues raised in the motion or in the charges that are brought before the Senate. So I'm pleading with you because, you know, this is going to be a matter of record. And if we go on this way, we will be dealing not with a problem, but we'll be dealing with our own idiosyncrasies instead of going into the content.
Point of order, Mr. Speaker. Point of order.
Okay, Senator Murkomen, the last one.
Mr. Speaker, with all due respect, and I appreciate your opportunity to give me this. Mr. Speaker, we cannot predict how many point of orders we can raise in the chambers because it's as long as a point of order, including the ones that we raised on the health issues and so forth. But this is more important, fundamental. Mr. Speaker, is it in order for Senator Malala, in moving this very important motion, to, Mr. Speaker, insinuate that, Mr. Speaker, the people of Kirinyaga have no power or authority to direct this House? When, Mr. Speaker, it is important, Mr. Speaker, when the Constitution says sovereign power belongs to the people of Kenya, can the Senate of the Republic of Kenya tell off citizens of this country who pay taxpayer money for Malala to sit in this House and tell them that you have no power to dictate us? And yet, Mr. Speaker, we say all the things we do from here is because sovereign power belongs to the people.
Okay. Senator Malala, I did caution you that, and please, even as we come to discuss, remember what I said in my communication. I said it will not be a debate on the substance of the impeachment or its merits, propriety, prudence, or even the constitutionality or the legality of the process that have preceded the submission of this matter to the Senate. So stick to what is.
Mr. Speaker, the gist of my presentation was very clear, that the Senate cannot be micromanaged by certain citizens of this country. The Senate is independent, and I still stick to that fact, that we are an independent House, and we shall not be micromanaged by people seated in a certain corner thinking that this Senate can be manipulated. Lastly, Mr. Speaker, I want to ask honorable members of this House to support the proposals made in this motion, Mr. Speaker, because even if you looked at the membership of this committee, I think we have honorable members who are competent enough to interrogate this matter in a fair manner, Mr. Speaker. And I don't know why some of the members here think that it is going the committee way is not going to be fair, Mr. Speaker. I think the fairest way, Mr. Speaker, is the committee way because we shall have enough time. Looking at the membership, Mr. Speaker, we have considered even regional balance. We have Honorable Beth Mugo from Nairobi, Ole Tip from the coast. We have Senator Mbito from the North Rift. We have Mpaei from the Lower Rift. We have Malala from Western, Mazayo from coast, Senator Pareno from Masailand, and the whole country, the face of Kenya, has reflected in this committee. We have Senator Kajwang from Nyanza, Mr. Speaker, and therefore, I think this is the best platform to ensure that this matter is adjudicated in a fair manner, Mr. Speaker, and we shall be setting good precedents for this House. I beg to second this motion. Thank you.
Honorable Senators, I now propose the question, which is that whereas pursuant to Article 181 of the Constitution, Section 33 of the County Government Act 2012 and Standing Order 58 of the Kirinyaga County Assembly Standing Orders, on 9th June 2020, the County Assembly of Kirinyaga approved a motion to remove from office by impeachment Honorable Anne Mumbi Waiguru, the Governor of Kirinyaga County. And further, whereas by letter reference ref CAK/SPK/SEN/1001 dated 9th June 2020 and received in the office of the Speaker of the Senate on Wednesday 10th June 2020, the Speaker of the County Assembly of Kirinyaga informed the Speaker of the Senate of the approval of the motion by the County Assembly and further forwarded to the Speaker of the Senate documents in evidence of the proceedings of the Assembly. And whereas pursuant to Section 33(3)(b) of the County Government Act 2012 and Standing Order 75(1)(b) of the Senate may, by resolution, appoint a special committee comprising 11 of its members, to investigate the matter or investigate the matter in plenary. Now, therefore, pursuant to Section 33(3)(b) of the County Governments Act 2012 and Standing Order Number 75(1)(b)(1), the Senate resolves to establish a special committee comprising 1. Senator Abshiro Halake MP, 2. Senator Dr. Michael Mbito MP, 3. Senator Mwangi Paul Kidiomi MP, 4. Senator Beth Mugo EGH MP, 5. Senator Anwar Loitiptip MP, 6. Senator Philip Mbaye MP, 7. Senator Cleophas Malala MP, 8. Senator Beatrice Kwamboka MP, 9. Senator Stewart Mazayo MP, 10. Senator Judith Pareno MP, and 11. Senator Moses Kajwang MP. To investigate the proposed removal from office by impeachment of the governor of Kirinyaga County and to report to the Senate within 10 days, pursuant to Standing Order 75(2) and of its appointment, on whether it finds the particulars of the allegations to have been substantiated. Senator Linturi.
Mr. Speaker, I open by saying I understood your communication in terms of direction that you gave us in addressing this matter. I'm cognizant of the fact that this motion is not intended to look or interrogate the merits or the demerits.
I'll give each 5 minutes.
The merits or demerits of the motion, otherwise it will be very speculative, but we must only confine ourselves to either to the merits or demerits of either having a committee or going to plenary. Mr. Speaker, this Senate, I want to remind every member, took oath to defend the Constitution of this country, to protect it. And Mr. Speaker, this being the case, and considering that we are here courtesy of the people that gave us this high office to exercise their authority on their behalf, and in the event that we fail to exercise diligently that authority, the public or the people have a right to go to the streets and exercise their own authority when we fail them, Mr. Speaker. That is what sovereign power and Article 1 talks about, by donating power to us to exercise it on their behalf, and in the event we don't, then they can do it themselves. So, Mr. Speaker, I have listened, I've heard the people of Kirinyaga speak. The people of Kirinyaga have spoken through their representatives. Mr. Speaker, I want to invite every senator here to look at Schedule 2, I think Schedule 2 of the Constitution of Kenya, which has clearly put, very clearly, on the oath that we take. Mr. Speaker, to remind them, the oath that we take when we are sworn in is to bear true allegiance to the people and the republic. The oath of assumption of office of governor is different from us because we serve, they are supposed to serve, truly serve the people. When you look at the Speaker, when you look at the President and his deputy, true allegiance to the people, be faithful to the people and the republic. A cabinet minister does not do that, Mr. Speaker. And Mr. Speaker, because I agree that impeachment is a new phenomenon in this country, and because there is no developed jurisprudence on how this is supposed to be done, we must seize the moment to create jurisprudence in the manner in which future impeachments will be done. Mr. Speaker, Article 185 of the Constitution of Kenya lays down the legislative authority of a county or to the counties. And then, Mr. Speaker, Article 185, sub-Article 3, one of the serious duties of the county assemblies is oversight. The County Governments Act, Section 8, Mr. Speaker, and I think subsection 8B clearly says or defines the authority of the county assembly on terms of what they need to do, what is the expected of them, and, Mr. Speaker, what the county of Kirinyaga has done is within their mandate. Mr. Speaker, the motion before us, I remember, and for consistency, and I want this one to go on record, that last time I sat here and listened, and because I was a member of the committee that was proposed to impeach Governor Waitito, I kept quiet because I was listening to what the people were saying, what the distinguished senators were saying that particular day. But what is shocking me today is the change of heart of the very serious proponents of a plenary sitting to try Governor Waitito that time. I remember during the impeachment proceedings, because I spoke, I told them and I sent the answer and can bear me out, that time will come when you remember the position you are taking today, you will be required to be answerable to it. Because your governor will be brought here, your friend will be brought here, and Mr. Speaker, because this house is a house that sets precedent. It's not more than 2 months ago that this house voted unanimously to go plenary. Despite some of us, or those that opposed, were on committee because they thought committees would interrogate a matter more better than a plenary. But because of the interest that they were there, people decided not to use reason and apply a method that was best that time. So, Mr. Speaker, in view of this, and considering the pain that I can see the people of Kirinyaga speak with, if we have to support the BBI, corruption is one of the things we must fight.
What's your point of order, Senator?
For that, Mr. Speaker, I beg to oppose this motion of a creation of a committee, and I urge the House to adopt a plenary. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Kangata, what's your point of order?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I did not intend to interrupt my brother from Meru, my brother Wakili. Yeah, but the reason I'm doing that, I asked Mr. Speaker, you confirm whether he has used the term, people did not use reason. You know that then imputes something very negative on members who rendered that verdict.
Senator Ledama.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker,
Senator Wambua from the extended chamber should be approaching.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. Mr. Speaker, sir, I rise to support this motion for the following reasons. One, earlier on, Mr. Speaker, sir, during your communication, I raised on a point of order on a very serious matter in terms of the legal framework.
I'm told, Senator Omogen, you have a point of order.
It's passed. It was on the other side.
Yeah.
Point of order.
Is it a point of order or a point of information? Or?
It's a point of order, Mr. Speaker, if you may permit me. Mr. Speaker, the order paper indicates that each senator will be allocated 15 minutes to make their submission on this fairly weighty matter. And Mr. Speaker, understanding order 106, 2, the only way there can be limitation on time is if an honorable member has moved a motion for there to be limit in terms of time. I've heard, Mr. Speaker, that you have directed that debate on this issue should be limited to 5 minutes. Mr. Speaker, if you read Standing Order number 106.3, a motion seeking to limit the allocation of time to members cannot be made in the course of a debate. And Mr. Speaker, already Senator Rinturi was on the floor making his submissions. I don't want to anticipate debate, Mr. Speaker, but if this matter goes to the committee, we will not have time to make any comment. So we need time, Mr. Speaker. We watch deliberations of the House of Commons, even our neighbors in Tanzania.
Elected members are given adequate time to ventilate the issues that come before the floor. That's why we were elected, all of us. So, Mr. Speaker, I want your directions, whether it's really in order for there to be a limit of 5 minutes, while the other paper talks of 15 minutes, and there has not been any substantive motion to alter the 15 minutes allocated to us. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
What's your point? Is it on the same or?
Mr. Speaker, I'd approach the chair, the table, Mr. Speaker, to also establish how best this can be approached. Mr. Speaker, that standing order 106, we have violated it many times because, Mr. Speaker, and we are all guilty. We are not saying you alone. We are all guilty because even us, the senators here, are the ones who run up to you and tell you, say 5 minutes or 3 minutes, we want 2 or so minutes, Mr. Speaker. But now that this has been brought substantially by the Senator Mogeni, and I totally agree. Mr. Speaker, you know, it's only in few instances in the history of the House that you have a motion of this magnitude. Then Kenyans at the moment are tuned all over. In fact, I'm told in Kirinyaga, the social places, Mr. Speaker, that have been opened up to 7:30, the people are sitting in their homes waiting this very important decision, but they are not just waiting the decision. They want to hear whether our decision is based on serious deliberations of this House. Mr. Speaker, if you look at the American Congress, if you look at, Mr. Speaker, the House of Commons, if you look at even South African Parliament, Mr. Speaker, very important. Malema, we all know Malema because of South African Parliament, and he's not holding any position, he's sitting back there. But, Mr. Speaker, because of deliberation of the House, can you, Mr. Speaker, make a decision on this issue, like raised by Senator Mogeni, that allows this House to ventilate on issues so that let a senator decide if they have only 3 minutes to make comments, they make, but at least we enjoy the 15 minutes provided for by the standing orders so that we don't violate our own standing orders. And if someone is unhappy with the 15 minutes, Mr. Speaker, raise a substantive motion, a motion on it to amend. But, Mr. Speaker, to be warned that that motion cannot come at this point in time because the standing order itself says you can't raise that motion at this point. So, Mr. Speaker, legally speaking, we have actually 15 minutes to make our serious deliberation. Those who are in a hurry, Mr. Speaker, and those who have their farms to go and tend and all those other issues Senator Kangata was saying, we can excuse them. Those of us who are interested in sitting here, even if it's up to midnight, we've sat here before, Mr. Speaker, in the impeachment of Wambora. We sat here up to 10 p.m., Mr. Speaker. So if the few of us who are serious, Mr. Speaker, to make serious deliberations can take our time.
Senator Kangata, what's your point of order? Then Senator Wako?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. Mr. Speaker, sir, the point of order that has been raised by the Honorable Senator from Nyamira, I beg to argue that it is misplaced. The reason being that you have already made a ruling. When I look at the standing orders, I do not see any power that the Honorable Chair has been given to vacate or review whatever findings that you have done. Number two, the powers that have been bestowed on your office by Standing Order 1, in my honest view, are enough for you to render the kind of judgment you have already rendered in terms of limiting time. And also, most importantly, Mr. Speaker, sir, we must also take into account the interest that members want to speak on this matter. And therefore, you allow as many members as possible to ventilate on this issue, and that can only be achieved if we limit time. Thank you.
Okay. I will want to say this, that I've given direction on the time, but where I notice that a member still wants to talk, I'll use my discretion to allow you to ventilate. Senator Ledama.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. Mr. Speaker, sir, once again I rise to support this motion for the following reasons. Earlier on, during your communication, Mr. Speaker, sir, I rose on a point of order on a very serious constitution provision regarding the management or the authority of a county government. Article 179 of the Constitution of Kenya is very clear that the executive authority is vested and exercised by an executive committee. The honorable colleague of mine from the great people of Meru quoted Article 185 of the Constitution while he was opposing this motion. And in his submission, he said that the county assembly is given the authority to oversight. But what he forgot to say is the same thing that the Constitution in Article 179 said the executive committee. So, Mr. Speaker, sir, why I feel that a committee will be able to look at all these matters is because, yes, I agree with the colleague of mine that we will be setting precedents on how future.
What's your point of order?
Mr. Speaker, I think can be challenged by Senator Orengo, Murkomen, and either Wetangula, but I want to bring to the attention of Senator Lendama, if it does not stand what that particular provision of Article 179 means. Kangata, we want you to address yourself to this. Is the executive authority of the county. Is the executive authority of the county, which is vested and exercised by executive committee, is anything that relates to the function and the office of the governor. The area that I refer the House to is the function of the county assembly, because these are run differently. So I want you to look at that particular provision and be guided that the matter in which you are addressing is about to do with the office of the governor and not the authority and work of the county assembly members.
Mr. Speaker, sir, you know, sometimes when everything is written in black and white, there's no point of trying to assume as if some people are blind. Mr. Speaker, sir, these are very weighty matters. It says executive.
Don't read the Constitution in a selective way. Try to read in harmonious, so that to get the framers, the decision, the substance, the spirit, and the letter of the Constitution.
Okay, proceed.
Mr. Speaker, sir, you know, sometimes I think some people read the Constitution upside down. I began by saying that sometimes this Constitution in itself is ambiguous. Because if you look at Article 179, and now let us look at the Article 181 that the distinguished senator from Nandi has spoken about. There are issues that are not clear. We've agreed here that we are setting a precedent. If we are indeed setting a precedent, Mr. Speaker, sir, let me tell you, then the only people who can be able to sit down and look at all the evidence. Because when Article 179 says it is the executive authority is vested and exercised by an executive committee, and then proceeds again and lay out who are the members of that executive committee, unless this committee now that is being constituted in this House looks at the evidence, looks at the work or the charges, and be able to present a report to this House, there's really no way, Mr. Speaker, sir, that will be doing justice to the people of Kenya. Mr. Speaker, sir, when you take oath of office, Mr. Speaker, sir, can you protect me from the distinguished members? When they were contributing,
okay,
I was silent and I was listening to them.
Let us consult in low tones.
So, Mr. Speaker, sir, if I'm a threat because I'm exercising, I'm reading the Constitution properly, then so be it. So, Mr. Speaker, sir, in my support on this motion, I just feel like we can really serve this country well. We should always be guided by the rule of law and the Constitution. I know this House does not interpret the Constitution. We make the laws. But where there's some sort of ambiguity, it doesn't hurt for us to be able to give it to our members, whom we respect very well. I've listened to the composition of those members. They're distinguished lawyers, respected lawyers, who can then be able to take the time and guide this country. Article 96 of the Constitution, Mr. Speaker, sir, is very clear, that this Senate protects the interests of the counties and their governments. So really, if we are clear and we are sincere to the oath of office that we took, and to the prayer that you read every single day when we enter this office, or these chambers, then, Mr. Speaker, sir, the only way is that for us to be objective is to allow a committee to be able to guide us, look at the volumes of documents which will be presented here. The last time, Mr. Speaker, sir, when we were prosecuting the matter of the Governor Waitito, I just felt like there are things that maybe we didn't do right. But the only thing that consoled me was the fact that when I looked at the same Constitution, which I'll refer you to, Article 179, the deputy governor had bolted from the get-go. When you go to Article 179.7, it clearly says that when now we exercise the provision of Article 181, the committee members will also lose their offices. So the only reason why I was consoled, and I said it is fair for us to proceed the plenary way that time, is because already in that executive committee, there was one member who was not part of that government, although he was elected. And he was also appointed to be the deputy governor. So, Mr. Speaker, sir, because of the interest of this matter, I want to summarize as follows. Only a committee will be able to give the people of Kirinyaga justice. Only a committee will be able to guide us for all future impeachments, so that when we are punishing somebody, let us not be selective, but be objective. Because, Mr. Speaker, sir, the last I checked, a governor doesn't sit in a tender committee. The last I checked, Mr. Speaker, sir, a governor doesn't write checks or go to the bank to give out money. So, Mr. Speaker, sir, to conclude,
you are getting into the substance of...
Now, to conclude on that, I fully support the distinguished members who have been selected by the House Business Committee to represent this House in doing the hard work. Our work will be so simple. It will be to read the report, and then if we find that the Honorable Governor from Kirinyaga has a case to answer, then we follow the law. If she doesn't, then we give the people of Kirinyaga justice. I support.
Senator Wambua.
Mr. Speaker, thank you. I don't know what the cause of excitement is. But, Mr. Speaker, I want to thank you really for this opportunity to contribute to this motion. Mr. Speaker, I want to begin by reminding us that the motto of the Parliament of the Republic of Kenya clearly states that both houses of Parliament exist to push forward the welfare of society and the just government of the people. The Speaker, the people of Kirinyaga County are crying out for justice from the Senate of the Republic of Kenya. The Speaker, they define that justice differently according to the different segments of that society. But all of them are crying out for justice. Mr. Speaker, Governor Anne Mumbi Waiguru is crying out for justice from the Senate of the Republic of Kenya. I don't know how she has defined that justice, but she wants justice. Mr. Speaker, the matter for determination before this Senate today is not a simple matter. It's a very weighty matter. It is a public issue, Mr. Speaker. There is nothing private about the decision that the Senate will make today on the process that we're going to use in determining the impeachment process of Governor Anne Waiguru. Mr. Speaker, I have listened very carefully to the voice of almost the entire elected leadership of Kirinyaga County. They have made their position very clear about what their expectations are. The Speaker, I have listened and taken the liberty to consult very widely and listen to the voice and the reasoning of the great people of Kitui County on what position they want their senator to take on this matter, Mr. Speaker. The Speaker, I have followed opinion in both mainstream and social media on what this country wants. Mr. Speaker, if this Senate will choose to benefit from the opinion of one of the most senior journalists, a journalist of long and good standing, in the name and character of Senator Enoch Wambua, the people of the Republic of Kenya want plenary. Yes. Mr. Speaker, it doesn't matter what the outcome of the process will be. Yes. But we are a house that pushes forward the agenda of devolution, and in it, Mr. Speaker, we advocate for inclusivity. We want to listen to the different views on the same subject. We want as many people to state their positions on a matter before we make a decision, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, if the worry of those who are pushing the committee route is that there will be limited time for senators to ventilate on this matter, Mr. Speaker, then I would say, Mr. Speaker, we are not bound by a single day. We can sit for 2 or 3 days in plenary, Mr. Speaker, and transact this matter. But we give an opportunity to every senator to contribute to this matter, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, at some point, I don't see my friend, my brother, the senator for Kakamega. I heard him say something about this Senate being coerced or pushed to make a decision by the people of Kirinyaga. Mr. Speaker, I must say that is a very unfortunate statement. Mr. Speaker, the Senate of the Republic of Kenya does not exist in a vacuum. Yes. Public opinion must always shape the decisions that we make.
To contribute to this important matter. Now, Mr. Speaker, I've also been listening to my colleague senators and the public. Mr. Speaker,